What is that? What pole is that? Nice one. South Pole. Yes, correct. What animals did we already learn about that live in the Arctic? What are some animals that live in the Arctic? Keyshawn?
Seals.
Seals. Gabriel?
Polar bears.
Polar bears. And what specifically did we already learn about polar bears? Remember when we did the 3 stations? I just want to refresh our minds. What were some things that we talked about when we looked at the polar bears? Luis?
We looked at the video.
We looked at the video, and what was something that you learned from the video?
The mom was teaching the dogs how to jump up and down on the ice.
And why were they doing that?
Because to look for their food.
To look for their food, right. Gabriel? You want me to wait? Okay. Anyone else? Emily?
In the video, the mother helped the baby survive, and she was trying to teach him how to do stuff.
Right.
And the baby polar bears had to go off on herself at one point.
Right. We learned about some of the relationships with the mother polar bear and the baby. I'm going to ask you guys to think about that first station that everyone did with when we were thinking about an adaptation. Who remembers what an adaptation is? This is our word. Ooh, wrong way. Adaptation. Gianna?
Camouflage.
Camouflage was the adaptation that they were using. How did they use camouflage?
White fur.
Their white fur. So an adaptation, I'm going to talk about what that is again, is something, it's a skill or something that a plant or an animal does that helps them to survive in a different place. So when we're thinking about the Arctic, what about the water is unique there? What about it? Charles? That it's frozen. Good details. Brianna?
The water's darker.
Okay. Gianna?
It's icy.
It's icy. So is that a type of water that you would like to go swimming in?
No.
Do you think that we would be able to survive in that extreme temperature? No.
Layers of warm stuff on.
Emily, can you say that nice and loud?
Unless we had layers of warm stuff on our body.
Right. So the animals that are in these waters, they must have some sort of adaptation that's helping them to survive. Do you think so?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you have an idea of something that you think might be helping them to survive in those waters. Think about their bodies. Think about what they look like. Brianna? Their warm fur. Shomar?
How seals survive, they need a hole to breathe. They need a hole to breathe.
So they might need something on their body to help them with the oxygen.
Yeah.
Louise?
Their skin.
Their skin? What about their skin?
Their skin is like rubber and it's solid, so it helps them to make their body warm.
Right. So, like Louise just said, they have certain parts of their bodies that is made for these icy temperatures. So today, we're going to be doing a blubber glove experiment.
Blubber glove.
And the blubber glove is supposed to be showing us how these animals stay warm in the icy waters. So, for us to be able to do that, there's some steps that I'm going to have to explain to you. Okay. Everyone is going to be going to the same stations that we had last week. And at these stations, there is going to be a bucket of ice water. The bucket of ice water you will be using, but before you can do that, there's some things we need to think about. We're going to be asking ourselves a question. Who can raise their hand and read that question in the first box? Nice and loud. Zariah?
How can polar bears stay warm in the icy waters?
Great. So that's really our main question that we're thinking about throughout this whole entire experiment. We want to be able to answer that at the end. We are going to be making predictions. Who can read what it says in the make a prediction box? Gianna?
Polar bears stay warm because
Right. So at your seat, before you start the experiment, on your sheet of paper, if everybody can just put their eyes on me for one moment, in this box, I want you to make a prediction. A prediction means a guess. How do you think polar bears stay warm? So in this box, you can write a few sentences about what you think. Do you have to be right? No. You can just try your very best to write something that you think might help them. So we heard some people had some good things that they were thinking about, like their skin or something about it, maybe their fur. You can write that all in the prediction box. When we get to the experiment, that's when you're going to be following directions. So, at your station, you're going to have to take turns. And there's going to be one bag that is, I'm just going to get one to show you.
They're all at the tables.
Right, they'll all be at the tables. Thank you. Okay. So the first direction says, put your hand in the glove without the blubber. That is this bag. What you're going to do is you're going to stick your hand in the bag, and there's going to be a bucket of ice water.
Wait, what?
You are going to, taking turns, stick your hand into the ice water, and then you're gonna hold it in there for 30 seconds.
Okay.
So how many seconds did I say?
I'll be
30. Are we gonna hold our hand in there for a whole entire minute?
No.
No. What about 2 minutes? No, we don't need to. We're going to stick it in, we're going to count to 30, and I want you to think about how it feels. So what are some words that you think that you might be able to use to describe that? What are some different words? Brianna?
Freezing?
Freezing might be one. Does everybody know what freezing means?
Yes.
Like really cold. Gabriel, a different word?
Super cold?
Okay, super cold is kind of like freezing. So I'm going to ask you if you think it's super cold. I want you to use the word freezing. You're going to use the word freezing. That is one. Who has a different word you could use? Emily? Icy. So icy is kind of like freezing. I'm going to give you a couple more that you might be able to use. One word that might be new to you. Who can raise their hand and read this word? Zariah?
Neutral?
Neutral. Does anybody have any idea what neutral means? Do you have an idea? What might neutral be? Zariah?
It might mean like something cold.
Okay, so neutral means, I'm going to tell you the definition. It means that it's not really hot or cold. It kind of just feels Like sometimes when you take a bath and the water is just the right temperature where you're not really hot and you're not cold, it's just neutral, it means kind of the same. So if you think that when your hand is in the glove and the water feels that way, you could use that new word neutral. Get up there. Thank you. What about this word? Who can raise their hand and read this? Keyshawn? Say it.
Numb.
Numb. Who knows what numb means? Emily?
It means like out in the cold, when your hand stays out in the cold too long, it could get numb, which means you can't really feel anything, like you can't feel your hand move or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was a really great definition. That was very descriptive. Yes, when you're unable to feel anything because it's so cold, that's what numb means. So that's another word that you could use. Can you stick that up there? We also have warm, we all know means, cold, hot. So these are just some words that you can use when you're describing how the glove might feel in the water. So your first step is going to be using the bag without the blubber in it. You're going to put it in, again, 30 seconds.
Okay.
Then you're going to write a descriptive word of your physical feeling. How did that water feel? How does your hand feeling right now? After you've done that, you're going to take the blubber glove. Now, the blubber glove, you're going to put your hand in just like you did with the other one, stick it in the water, and then what do you think you're going to do?
If I hold it,
Gabriel?
count to 30.
Count to 30, and after you count to 30, Victoria?
We're supposed to write what you feel like over there.
Right. You're gonna describe how you felt. How did your hand feel physically? So that is all going to be done right here. And as you guys can see on your worksheet, I wrote some of our scientific words here if you want to use those. So it's going to say, my hand felt, and you're going to fill that in, and then my hand felt this way, without the blubber and with the blubber. Is there any questions on that? Gabriel?
Difficult.
Okay. All right. When you are done taking turns at your station, I would like you to think about everything that you recorded. Go back to your prediction and what you made for your guess. Look at your results, and you're going to write a conclusion. Who knows what a conclusion is? What is a conclusion? Think about when we do our writing. How do we conclude a story? Thinking about a conclusion. Brianna? Say that again?
Write it.
You write it, right. So part of a conclusion is you do write it. Gabriel?
Conclusion?
Yes, the word is conclusion. So when you write a conclusion, you're making a final decision based on your research. So our research in here is, our question was, how can polar bears stay warm in the icy waters? You're going to make a decision, and you're going to write how you think they survive based on our experiment. After you're done writing your conclusion, we're going to come back together and we're going to talk about that. Before I let you go to your stations, there's one thing I want to mention. When we do the two different gloves, the blubber glove and the regular one, you do not want to stick your hand into the water too far that the water's coming over. Because if that happens, we're not going to be able to tell, right? So make sure that you're sticking it in only The water should only go up to where the masking tape is, not over. We don't want to do that, because that would lose the purpose of the whole experiment. So be very careful. Louise, did you have a question?
I know you're meaning like the water is not rising up because if you put something like that, the water will rising up and will release.
Right. If it will go over and go inside the bag. We don't want that. So it'll be really important that you are taking turns with the people at your stations. We all know who you're going to be with. You need to make sure you're sharing materials. And your very first task, who remembers what the very first task is? Right when you get to your seat. Emily? What was our very first thing we're doing? Who remembers? When you go to your seat, what's the very first task I asked you to do? Zariah? Well, of course, we have to write our names. Brianna? I'm going to give you a pencil, yes. Gabriel?
Get started right away.
Well, yes, we always get started right away. But what was the very first task? We're asking ourselves a question, and then what are we doing before we start the experiment? Lordina? Nope. Charles?
Asking a question.
We're asking a question, and then what? What's the second thing on the sheet of paper? What was the second thing that we talked about? Victoria? Make a prediction. So when I give you your sheet of paper, I would like you to go back to your seat, and before you start with the experiment, I need you to write a prediction. Just a couple sentences about how you think that polar bears are staying warm. Are there any questions? I'm going to call you by group, and once your group comes up, you can get a piece of paper, and I will give you a pencil, and you can get started right away. We have some of our friends here, and they'll be at the stations watching you and helping you with the glove if you need any help at all. So, can I have Dayron, Joanna Elise, and Ryan? So start if you're making a prediction. Can you bring that with the group? She has all three papers, and here's a pencil. All right, Keyshawn, Victoria, and Destiny. Here, somebody take notes.
Guys, we're being I'm sure it's gonna
Zomar, Emily, Yara. Gianna, Jaden, and Lordina.
See you soon. Bye, Lordina. See you soon.
Charles,
You guys getting started right away?
Yep.
Nice.
Do we need to start with this?
Remember what Miss Lukey said. Remember.
I think there's only two. Because we have to share, remember?
Look at our directions here. What do our directions say?
Wait, you have to learn what sentence?
That's all I got.
Ask a question.
Ooh.
You have to ask a question.
And what's our question?
It says, how can polar bears stay warm in the icy water? Wait, white.
now everyone's going to start with a prediction. So think about our question. Read our question again. Jaden, can we read that? In the icy waters. So what do you think? How do you think they might stay warm? Okay, so polar bears stay warm because, and then write your prediction. Who went first? Did everybody make a prediction over here?
Oh, that was one sentence.
You wrote one sentence. Can you tell me what you wrote?
Stay warm because they're white fur.
Oh, they're white first. Okay. So what are you feeling right now?
Cold.
You think cold. Okay.
Okay.
And you held it in for 30 seconds. All right. So make sure you record what you were feeling. Day run.
Wait, what's the blubber?
We're gonna give Joanna a piece of turn.
Hey, wait, what? That's weird. Go first. Cool. I'm doing it with the blubber. The blubber.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead. And so how many seconds are you holding it in for? 30. So count to 30.
Blubber makes it hot.
And let's get your hand a little further in the water. There we go. Just like that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
Okay. So make sure you record what you're feeling.
When I get it,
And now we're gonna give Dayron his turn. Alright. And then you.
you said
Oh, Sean. Sorry. Alright, so Victoria, make sure they all have a turn first without the blubber gum, and then you may start.
Good job.
Oh, I love to hear that.
Counting? Are you happy with the prediction? Are you ready to get started?
Okay. So what's the first direction say?
Oh, we're going to do this,
Oh,
this
sorry,
one
yes.
first, right?
That one first.
How long are we going to keep our hand in the water?
30 seconds.
Okay. How are you going to keep track of that time? Okay, great. And remember, you're going to think about what? What are you going to be thinking about while your hand's in there?
How, like, the people behave.
How it feels. Okay, ready?
I'm scared.
Just do it.
Are you counting?
How did it feel?
It felt warm.
When I did this, I didn't think to use gloves.
All right. So what were you feeling? How did it feel?
It felt numb.
Felt numb.
I can't.
You can't. Okay. So make sure you record that on your sheet.
So, how did the hand without the blubber feel?
Straight up.
Whenever Lisa or Antonia, whenever you're done, you can be the next to start. I'm gonna put that right here.
I mean, there's a vocab word to describe it. Is normal? Yeah, here. Let's see if we can find one that's just like normal. What do you think would be normal? Okay.
What do you think it's going to do? Yep. That's a tricky one. That's it. That must be a large.
Okay, that is warm.
That is warm. So don't forget to record your results. So you can both.
Ready?
Cold and hot.
All right, here you ready?
Are you right? There you go. You can do it at the same time. You can do the blubber hand, you can do the blubber hand. There you go. Are we ready?
First question.
Okay. You know what?
How come warm and icy?
So when we do a conclusion, we're coming up with what we think the answer to that question might be. So based on what you just did, what do you think? You think what about the polar bears? How do they stay warm? With what do you use? You think they stay warm without bubble or with bubble?
It's because
How did that
What happened, Amar?
you put a finger in.
Oh my goodness. You need blubber. Don't you know that? Did we finish making our...
Both of them were warm.
Both of them were warm?
The first time mine was cold and now mine is
The hand without the blubber. Are your hands sweaty? Did you stick it in for the full time? Ready? Try it again. Ready? Really get it in.
1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not all the way. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. How's it feel?
How was that?
How's it feel?
Can I try this one?
Maybe, let me feel that. Oh my goodness, that's cold.
Can I try this one?
Maybe you should change your observation.
Can I try? I'm gonna squeeze all the blood.
And why do you think it was warmer when you have the one with the blubber?
Because the blubber is another layer. It was actually.
Yeah, that's a great observation.
I'm trying this one again. I like putting it. With 1, 2, go. 2, 3. I'm gonna pick cold again.
Because you think about it, and it's like if you have this all over your skin and then you jumped in the water, I feel like it would kind of keep you warmer, don't you? All right, let's make sure we finish our worksheets. Oh, look at that. Write a conclusion. What's a conclusion?
A question?
No, conclusion is after you made a question and then after you experimented.
That was freezing.
After you
Oh my goodness.
after you experiment, you found what out?
This is not warm.
Hand without the blubber was what? Are you sure? All right, think hard about it, okay? And then you write your conclusion.
I picked freezing.
You picked freezing?
That was cool. Let me try if that was cool.
So write to your conclusions on the back.
Is everyone done here? Here, use this one because why hasn't gotten in there?
Here,
take it.
so if you guys did both experiments,
This is your
one without
Try this
and
one.
one
So what do you
with,
feel is
it's
down
time
here?
to go on to your conclusion, right?
So this is what you feel. My hand fell. This is your prediction right over here. You said the bears stay, polar bears stay warm because their fur.
Now,
of their fur.
what was our main question?
So what did you feel when you had? Which club is
You
that?
can write your conclusion. How do they stay warm?
Their wheels get in the rubber like a seal.
Right. And what did we call this? What do we call this club? What was it called? So do you think that's something that might help them stay warm? Okay. All right. You're ready to move on to your conclusion. Go ahead.
What do you think helps them? What do you think when they have?
All right, Jaden. So you're writing your descriptive word in this box. And then Jaden, did you do your 30 seconds of the blubber glove? You haven't? Let's do that. Okay. Gordina, I'm going to ask you to start on your conclusion. Okay, let go. And out. Okay? And now 30 seconds.
And now try it with this glove.
Now what do you... How does it feel? You feel nothing? So what kind of word are you going to use? Does it feel really cold?
How do you think
Does it feel really warm?
stay warmer? How do you think they
Yes, is that you think that might be a word you could use? So in this box, I want you to record that. My hand felt, and you let me know how it felt.
We keep on double checking our hands.
All right, but I want the conclusions done.
Well, but do we have black fur here? Do we have black fur? What do we have here? Do you think? Was this different than this? So what do you think keeps them warm?
Let's flip the page over and see what's on the back. Okay, ready?
What was this?
Look, if you use black
What do you think you might want to write?
that's what I wrote.
That's what the box is.
Great. What are you drawing a picture of?
Water, and then I'm gonna put the ice in it.
Oh, cool.
First question we asked us, what was that question you were thinking? How they can stay warm in the icy water. So after doing our experiment, using the blubber glove and not using blubber glove, how do you think that polar bears stay warm in icy water?
I think the blubber.
Okay, so your conclusion would be I think, and then you can write. Okay, they use their blubber to stay warm.
What do you guys think about that?
Do you agree?
Does that make sense to the research that you did? You agree? So what can we say about that in our conclusions? How can we put that in good secondary sentences?
It says it on this one. It says it right here too. What do we think?
Jimmer, so are we all on our conclusion now? We are writing our conclusion.
I'm on this one. I'm just figuring it out.
So based on what you said, your hand without the blubber felt what? How did it feel?
They could use both.
I think they felt neither one.
Okay. And when you had your hand with the blubber, how did it feel? Warm. Okay. So what was our first question?
How can polar bears stay warm in the icy water?
So based on our experiment and based on what you wrote as your observations, how can they stay warm?
I like that you checked.
What's their fur?
Their fur. What were we calling this in the experiment?
Blubber.
Right. So you're going to write in your conclusion how you think they stay warm.
Wait.
I know where that is.
Oh, I like how you're adding that.
Me?
What are you drawing a picture of?
The ice bucket with the ice in it and the water.
Oh, great.
And I'm gonna draw the the glove with the blubber and the glove without the blubber on the inside.
Oh, nice.
Or I could just draw my hand going in.
Blubber and fur.
The glove.
Different, wasn't it?
Now this is a challenge.
I know. But that's what it's saying.
What's your conclusion?
I think they could get more with
Okay, did you hear what he said? Can you paraphrase what he said? Okay, ask him again. What's your conclusion?
I think that
Is there anything else that you think we could be keeping on?
Ask him again. Say, I didn't understand.
Plastic bag.
Can you repeat that, please?
I know.
What did he say?
I
You have no idea what?
Okay, is that similar to yours?
What do you think?
Did you talk about blubber too? Yep. Okay, so you have something in common. Oh, challenge, yeah.
Rodina, what was your conclusion?
It says, what other materials could you use?
What was your conclusion? Why did they say?
Okay, why don't you ask your friend? What materials would you use?
And what helped you know that?
If I could have your attention for just one moment. On the sheet, after you write your conclusion, there is one challenge box. This is just something you can think about, but I wrote, what other materials could you use to do this experiment? So today we used water, we used buckets of ice, we used plastic bags, we used the blubber. What other materials could you use to do this experiment? That's just something you can think about, and then you're welcome to draw a picture of your experiment today.
What do I draw pictures of? I'm trying to figure out what
The blubber glove. There's the word blubber right there, and there's the word glove right there.
Did I just write a picture of a
Blubber
polar bear?
glove. Did you use a polar bear in your experiment today?
No.
Did you use a polar bear in the experiment? Oh, that's right.
Wait, no.
Yep, set up the box.
Let's think of other materials that are different.
Or something that, even a material you could add to the experiment.
They're thinking, they're thinking.
You're thinking. How did your conclusion come? Will you read me your conclusion?
I think together you guys are going to come up with something.
What did you write? No, not this one. This one. What did you write for your conclusion?
This?
Yeah. What did you write? No, honey, right here. What did you write? I think.
The icing, the blubber, and
And do you think that you learned that from your experiment?
Now you ask him. See if he has a different answer.
what other materials? I think we should try.
I like that you're thinking.
Did you use fur?
The plastic.
Why don't you ask him a question about that?
Without the blubber, and then this is the other part with blubber.
So, it says to draw a picture of your experiment today. Did you put your foot in?
Just take 2 more minutes.
No, but she said find
Finish up
the
your last
Oh,
conclusion
a different way. So that's how you would test it.
I don't know. And then I could use it. I don't know what's in it. It's on my face.
Use your face.
It's on my face. I don't want to. Yeah, use your face. No, use your face. Get it done.
What other materials? Try the ice and the water.
On your face.
You're right.
That would be okay.
And
I really like your idea. That's
Did you
we had pencils and paper. You already that? Or maybe not.
Probably having just 1 minute, so I would,
1 hour.
I don't think taking out crayons is the best idea right now.
Bucket with icy water. And with Hi, Cameron. Hey, Cameron. Because I know that's the.
All right.
That's the one with no
Okay. Even if you are in the middle of something, we'll have time to finish later. I would like you to keep your pencils at your desk and just bring your piece of paper and join me back on the rug in our circle.
Don't worry, Cam, we'll get a chance to. You'll get a chance to.
A bag on our elbow and things on paper.
Hi, Cameron. How are ya?
I noticed that Keyshawn and Charles and Jomar and Jaden did a really nice job following directions. All right. Just all eyes on me. Really nice job, everybody. Where I could see that people were working really hard during the experiments today. I want to just go over and talk about our conclusions. So our question we started with when we were doing our scientific thinking, we started with our question, how can polar bears stay warm in the icy waters? So we are really working hard to answer that in our conclusion. So based on our experiments and what we recorded, what can we now say? How do we think that polar bears stay warm? What did you write as your conclusion? I'm going to ask a few people to raise their hand and share what they wrote. Yada? They stay warm with their fur. Did someone have something that was either the same or different as Yada that you would like to add on to? Keyshawn?
They stay warm because they're blubber.
Because of their blubber. And what made you think that?
Because they live in the Arctic and it's very cold there.
Which was like what? in our experiment?
The ice in the water.
Right. So when we stuck our hand in without the blubber, the plastic bag without the blubber, how did your hand feel? Someone raise their hand. What feeling did you have? Destiny?
I felt my hand felt cold.
It felt cold. And how did your hand feel with the blubber? Lordina?
Neutral.
It felt neutral. Anything else? Gabriel?
Hot.
Hot. Okay, so what we learned from this in our conclusion was that polar bears, we can now say we know polar bears stay warm in the icy waters by using this blubber. So I know some people were saying, oh, it might be just their fur. But the thing about polar bears and other animals that live in the Arctic is that sometimes their fur is covering the blubber. So can we always see that? No. But as we could feel that, right? We could feel that warmth. So everyone did a really nice job, and we're going to continue to think about these adaptations. So now we now know 2 adaptations of polar bears. We know their white fur helps them with camouflage away from their predators, and we also know the blubber, that's our new adaptation, keeps them warm in the icy waters. Shayla? Oh, you want me to tell you what I used for the blubber? Yes, I said that I would tell you that. It's something called Crisco, so it's kind of like frosting. So I took a bunch of like frostings material, and I filled up the plastic bags, and then I taped them up. And that's what was used for the blubber.
Wow.
So did anybody have any ideas? Did anybody have any ideas about the challenge? What other materials you could use? Just, if you have one, you can share. Victoria?
Ice cream?
So ice cream, would your hand feel warm with the ice cream?
No.
No. Jomar?
Your elbow?
Oh, a
Put it
different
back on
part
your
of your
elbow.
body. You could try out a different part of your body. I suppose so. Gianna?
Gloves?
Oh, yes, just regular gloves. Good idea.
Yeah.
Joanna Elise?
Bag?
Yeah, another type of bag. Also, I was thinking you could use a thermometer to test the temperature of the water. Those are just some other things we could do next time. Really nice job, everybody. Let's say thank you to our guests.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Conlon's going to transition you into the next thing. So I'm going to come and, actually, who's teacher's helper?
Charles.
Charles, can you collect all the papers and put them on my desk for me, please? Thank you.